So we've got this deadly attack right now on a Dallas ICE facility, and I wanted to do a preliminary look into who this individual might be, because that's what's going to be flooding the news. And right now, you're going to have both sides saying it was the other side. They're going to put the blame out. They're going to try to say, hey, look at who this person was shooting at, the detainees. This might be somebody on the right. And then, of course, individuals on the right are going to say, well, they were shooting up an ICE facility. But I want to try to give a little bit more logic to it without knowing this individual or any of their background. They're certainly searching right now through all of their social media accounts, everything they can find on the internet, every person that they can attach to this individual, and they are going to try to figure out who this person is. But let's just talk about this in a common sense, logical way. I find it interesting that we are now seeing an attack on another facility, another group of which the leftist, liberal media, legacy media, and individuals high profile in our government have been demonizing and attacking. People like Gavin Newsom and the rest have been literally going after ICE agents and been telling people that they need to resist them. And then they're passing legislation, and they're also saying to even things like they need to be targeted and stopped. This is a trend that we've seen. When they demonized Donald Trump, when they call him a Nazi and they call him a fascist, he needs to be stopped, he needs to be targeted. Guess what? He was targeted multiple times, and his targeting never ends. They constantly need protection, Secret Service protection over him to prevent somebody from killing him. Unfortunately, a couple of times it did not work out so well, and we saw it get very close to Donald Trump being taken out. And then when they demonize conservatives, Christians going out and sharing their views with other people, they said that this is hate speech. These people shouldn't be out there. They shouldn't be on college campuses speaking to these individuals. We need to shut these things down. They demonized individuals like Charlie Kirk. And what did we see? A hit on Charlie Kirk. This is an important connection you can't let go. Now, let's take the supposition that this person is a far-right MAGA individual, right? Because people are already pushing that story forward right now within the last hour. What kind of sense does it make for somebody who's on the right, or somebody who's conservative, somebody who's supportive of the MAGA movement, to go out at this moment when our administration, ICE, is finally doing what they're supposed to do, going into the country, finding people who are not here legally? We don't hate these people. We don't despise them unless they're criminals. If they're criminals, I'm not going to say I hate them as a Christian, but I'm going to say there's zero. I'm not going to stand up for them at all. But the people who are here who are not criminals, who are trying to make a better life for themselves, they're still here illegally. You're here illegally. You don't belong here. This is not your country. You need to go back to your country, and you need to do it legally. I don't hate you, but our government is finally doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're upholding our laws. And we have an administration that is supporting and upholding our laws. Why would a far-right MAGA individual decide now is the right time for me to go out and start shooting up these people who are here illegally? And so this person said, things are happening the way that I want them to. I support MAGA. I support this administration. And now is my moment to go on a rooftop and start shooting at these individuals who are here illegally, even though they're being detained and they're going to be sent back to their own country. What kind of sense does that make? It makes zero sense. What makes a lot more sense, without even knowing who this individual is that this person is against ICE. This person has been listening to those who have demonized ICE. They probably have some medical issues because they did, in fact, turn the weapon on themselves as well. Anyone who goes on a rooftop with a weapon and starts shooting out into public has medical issues. And the far left has a medical problem right now. So we want to make a distinguishment between liberals and the far left. Liberals have been supporting and connecting themselves with the far left, which has been a part of their demise. But the far left has clearly medically diagnosable issues, severe neurological problems that need actual help. So they're going out there. These are individuals who bark, they dress up like animals, they believe that if they're female, they're actually male. They lay on the streets to stop cars from moving. They'll join hands and sit on the highway. They'll go in front of ICE vehicles, in front of police vehicles, and all kinds of other things. These people clearly have issues, right? if you're out there and these are things that you've never done before, never thought to do before, and don't support, you probably don't have the same medically diagnosable issues as them. Unfortunately, the liberal left props them up and says, no, their conditions are a part of the normal human condition. This is what normal humans can do and are like. If you want to dress up as a furry as an adult and waltz around and have a chain on your neck and act like a dog, or be a cat and have a kitty litter box, or think you're a man and you're really a biological woman, if this is all normal biological human stuff. This is what they're saying. And then they try to promote it. They try to cut off body parts. They try to push chemicals on individuals like this, rather than recognizing, oh my goodness, these people have an issue. Now, because these people have an issue, because you're propping up what they're doing, you never actually help them solve their problem. You never get to the root cause of the issue. And because of that, they're out there with these issues in their mind, listening to leadership demonizing certain groups of people. And when you put the two of those things together, you're going to get an increasing rate of violence and individuals going out and doing some of the most heinous, violent, terrible things you could imagine. Things that most of us would never consider doing, they will do, because they already have those medically diagnosable conditions that are being propped up by individuals. Don't worry about it. You're normal. This is fine. Then they have to live their life with that condition because the people who they think are helping them are telling them they're okay. And then they see those people demonize individuals and they're like, you know what? I'm going to be the superhero. I'm going to go and do these things. And we're seeing it over and over again. Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk, ICE agents. And this is not going to stop. We're seeing this in schools. How many of the school shootings are from individuals who are a part of this medically diagnosable issue, problem, part of our society? Far too many of them are a part of this group for us to look away and say there's no issue with this particular group. But that's what the left is going to do. We cannot look at this subsection of our society and say there's a problem here, we need to solve this. What they're going to do is they're going to try to spread fear amongst everybody, and they're going to try to demonize something else. So what else are they going to demonize? They're going to demonize the rhetoric from Donald Trump. See, it's the rhetoric from Donald Trump. They're going to try to demonize guns. See, it's the guns. There's the problem. They're going to try to spread fear amongst the entire society rather than saying, let's take an honest look at what's going on here. Let's take a look at the data and the information coming in. It clearly seems like we do, in fact, have a problem with a part of our society that we've actually been propping up. And this is why this problem is getting worse, because in the past, where this part of our society, we didn't lift up, we didn't prop up, we didn't say, hey, this is normal human condition. Absolutely. We're going to inject you with chemicals. We're going to cut off body parts. We didn't do this. These people were, if they were getting medical help, they were getting medical help from psychologists and psychotherapists who were actually trying to work them through this. If they were doing this, if this was happening at puberty level, they were allowing people to go through puberty and they were counseling them through it, trying to help them get to the other side. This is how we dealt with this in the 80s and the 90s. I'm not saying everything was perfect back then. I'm sure there's going to be cases where it didn't go well. But now that we're propping this up as normal human civilization, we're seeing this issue explode because now people are not actually being treated or helped, and they're being given these chemicals, and we're seeing these types of activities happening. So taking a look at this individual, who is this individual? Almost certainly this individual has medical issues. Almost certainly they're a part of the far left. Almost certainly they hate the MAGA movement. They probably hate Donald Trump. They're definitely against ICE agents. And we know now from the most recent news coming out that they were specifically targeting an ICE vehicle. So they were just shooting into the vehicle. Were they trying to target specific people in there? I find that kind of hard to believe. How could somebody actually get onto a roof and know who's in a specific vehicle? The vehicle was unmarked. So to have that kind of mindset, to be ready to go on the roof and to know who's in that vehicle, is kind of hard to believe. It's almost certainly more an individual on the left, somebody who had a medical issue, maybe somebody who was groomed for this, somebody who was paid to do this, somebody who was identified as an individual who would do this to once again try to create the issues. Now, they might try to mask this person as a far-right individual. Okay, we want you to shoot at the detainees so that people think you're far-right. Maybe they'll mess around with their social media stuff. Maybe they'll try to put stuff on their social media that connects them with the MAGA movement. You think that this is beyond these individuals to find people who have medical conditions and say, we're going to try to turn you into a far-right MAGA-loving person, and then we're going to want you to go out there and do some deadly damage. You think that they wouldn't do that just so that they present some sort of stigmatism and additional demonization towards the right, try to make somebody appear as if they're something that they're not? They would 100% do that. The good thing that we have right now is we have social media platforms like X and others where we have people who are truly great investigators who will dig down deep into those sorts of things, who will discover the changes and the modifications, who will see what was going on by these individuals if this is what they're going to do. Because I know the moment they can look into this person's Facebook account or Instagram or whatever they've got and find something that connects them with Donald Trump, the left-wing legacy media is going to run with it rampantly. They're going to push it everywhere. They're not even going to question whether or not this is some sort of deceptive tactic. But the people on the right aren't so easily gullible. We're going to realize that this is not beyond individuals to use somebody in this sort of way. So I would be very careful of that, and not just in this situation, but in continuing situations where they might use a tactic like that. But to believe that it was an actual right-wing, conservative, MAGA-loving person, loves their family, they're a family person, they're a Christian, they love Jesus, and they thought, you know what, I'm going to go out on a rooftop, I'm going to start shooting at ICE agents. At the moment, we finally have an administration that's actually doing something about it. That is so far beyond reality, I could almost say that this is not possible. And if they do find something that connects this person to the right, I would 100% more believe that this person was set up for this and their accounts were made to look like this rather than this person actually belonging to that, because it makes way more sense. This is just my preliminary look at who this person is and why I think this is happening. What do you all think? Leave your comments below.